Good evening, good evening. It's Thursday. It's the 15th day of November in the 2018. And this time on the Thursday means that we are in the room, we are in the zone. It's time for Mek We Chat. And we have a very small number of suspects this evening. I don't know where the others have gone, but we have Margaret in New York, Catherine over there in London, George in Grenada, and yours truly, Beverly, also in Grenada. So this evening we are going to be sharing with you some things that have been in the news, some issues that we think are important, and we invite you to chime in, chat with us, share your views with us as we get through the next couple of hours here on GRENADABROADCAST.com and live on Facebook. As usual, the views expressed on Mek We Chat are the views of the suspects and not necessarily the views of GRENADABROADCAST.com. But we have fun, we talk about serious issues, but we do it in a very light-hearted way. We eat and talk, and we drink and talk. No alcohol beverage allowed, though. The strongest you can get here is coffee. And if you don't have a cup that says morning, you may not even be allowed to drink coffee here.
That's for sure.
Right. So sit back and relax, guys. Share the next few minutes. Yes, few more minutes with us as we look at some of the things happening across the region and certainly across the world. We've been busy. Boy, I tell you, it's like we couldn't wait for that referendum to go. It's
Mm-hmm.
like referendum was last year. You talk about referendum now, it's like referendum? What referendum? What are you talking about? We have been busy since then. And certainly one of the things we're going to be looking at this evening is the war, the current war. I hear some people nicely can call it impasse and industrial disputes and all of those politically correct terms. As far as I'm concerned, is outright war between the government and the public servants. I always have a difficulty with that, because the public service is such a critical part of government. I really don't know how the government, those who work within the service that supports government, can be
Mm-hmm.
at war. It makes no sense. It's my little cocoa basket head. So maybe the bigger brains, the intellectual bourgeoisie, maybe they could explain it, but I can't see the separation there. You have
Mm-hmm.
permanent secretary who somehow seem to have a different stake in this issue than the other people they are working alongside. It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. But we're going to get there and look at some of the issues. Before we do, if we want to go way across to Europe, we can't help but touch on Brexit. Catherine, what are you doing up there?
Uh, to be honest, Leslie, I haven't following this story actually because I'm preoccupied with other things actually. But all I know is that a few minister has resigned because they don't agree with the final proposal, the final negotiation that Theresa May brought to them. I understand that I don't know, but I don't really agree with the whole thing because I think that she's in the hot seat, and she's in this position where sometimes maybe she have to compromise because I think the Brexit have to come out with this both winners. I mean, EU wants something from us, and we want something from EU. So I think she have to be in a position where she have to compromise sometimes, you know. So I don't understand why people are resigning and trying to get people against her, saying to have a vote of no confidence in Theresa May. I don't agree with these things at all, at all, at all. But I think certain things that I mean, she maybe have to compromise. I mean, that's the best she can do, and I think she's doing. I think she's doing a good job. If there is someone else that can do better, come and take the leadership and do better. But I think Theresa May doing her best, and she's doing what she can. That's all I know, darling.
Mm.
Yeah.
He is in a very tough position. In June 2016, it was, the UK had a referendum whether to leave the EU or to stay in the EU. The people voted to leave the EU because the grassroots people, the ordinary people in the UK, didn't think it was to their benefit to remain in the EU. So that was the decision. We want to go.
Yeah.
The parliament was then under the task of negotiating a deal with the EU to get them out. Because of course, when they said that when the UK voted to leave, the EU put on the brakes and say, not so fast. Just tear up your membership card and go just like that. This was a marriage and we have to go through a divorce. So put on the brakes and let us work out terms of this divorce. And for people who have been through divorce, especially those, who are in marriages that acquired a lot of wealth, and then it's time to separate. You have a better understanding of coming to a deal of who gets what and what goes where when you have to separate. And I have been listening, not following closely, I have to say, but I have been paying attention to what is happening. And the Prime Minister, as Catherine has said, she is the one who is in the hot seat. She is the one who has to be going back and forth between the EU and her people in the UK, trying to broker a deal that will suit both parties. Because, as she keeps saying over and over, the UK has to leave. They can't stay. So you have to come up with a deal. And whether you have a deal or not, you have to go. And there has been opposition from many parts, from within her own cabinet. Just today, when she presented this draft, and she presented it as a draft, although it's been argued as if it's a final document. But just today, 4 members resigned, 2 senior, 2 junior, because they disagree with what's in the draft. And I've been listening to these people, guys, and I'm waiting to hear the specifics about what they disagree with. Mm-hmm. And all I'm hearing is a lot of noise.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing is that, you see, back in 2016, when the British public had issues and they feel like no one is listening to them as the leader, and the issue they had was the control of immigration. Like a lot of people was flowing from the Eastern Europe, yeah? And it's like, we haven't got the infrastructure in place in order to manage all this flow of people. So what the government tried to do, people were complaining, we haven't got the infrastructure in place and we're kind of overwhelming people. We want to have the infrastructure in place in order to control the amount. For instance, we want to say, okay, we can take 80,000 a month and not 80,000, but 80,000 a day keep coming. So the issue, when the election was close by, the issue was raised with this problem with the Prime Minister, David Cameron. And David Cameron even had an issue with Europe at the moment because the European Union have to change their attitude. So he went with them, to European, and this is what our people concerns are. Can you give us some leeway, some kind of a control over the immigration status? Help us to control this situation because we haven't got the infrastructure in place, and we overwhelmed with the immigration. We got these people coming, they're young people. They want housing, they need jobs, they need places to stay, and they need healthcare and all sorts of things they need, and we haven't got that. So they said to them, no, if you want to control immigration, you need to go and control people who are outside the EU in your country. And this is the backdrop. This is how our people, the Winnie Rush generation, got detected at the end of the day because they were ordered to go and get rid of your illegal immigrant, this non-EU immigrant in your country. And they start doing that. They put it in place and start doing that. So our people now got detected. They have to go home because they got to make space for people in the European Union. If you want to be in the free market, then you have to accept free movement of people. If you want to, you said to us, if you want to control your immigrations, get out of the EU. That's what happened. That's what triggered. I was willing to remain in the EU in 2016. When Cameron came back with it, I said, what? No, well, I'm going to leave. So if you want to control immigration, control non-immigrants, or leave. That's what
Yeah,
I
well,
was.
I mean, you can't. I mean, I understand the need to control your borders, but you just can't eat your cake and have it in some
That is what
situations.
happened. No,
And
but
that's exactly what you wanted to do.
we just wanted a little control over that, just to put the infrastructure in place, because we were overwhelmed with people coming, flowing every time. We didn't have space for them. That's what the problem was. And so
Yeah, but on the other hand, you want to have free flow to other people, don't you?
that, what as,
No. Yes, don't you want free flow to other
but you
people?
find that more people is coming in than
You see where the problem is? It's okay
Yeah,
for me to do it, but I don't want somebody else do it to me.
yeah, but
The
Margaret,
basic human problem.
yeah, the immigration state, there was more people was coming in than people leaving the country. You see, but what I disagree with is that they're talking about free movement of people, and then you have to get people who are out of the EU out of your country. And I find that is fair immigration laws policies. I don't find that's fair. Now these people from the Eastern European have priority. They have all right to come here whenever they want, whenever they please in any numbers. Okay, but if you cannot control them, we not we control them. We just want to put an infrastructure in place to help them. That's what we was doing. But they say, no, you can't do that. Fine. If you want to do it, get out. This is my problem, Max. No, you can't. You can't do it.
Now it is.
Yeah.
So they had a referendum. The UK voted to go, and now with just a few weeks, you would call it, because the deadline to leave is the 29th of March.
March.
Right. Right. Come 29th of March, deal or no deal, the UK has to go.
Yeah.
And amidst all the noise, I hear opposition parliamentarians calling for a second referendum. Like we did in Grenada, we had a referendum in 2016. We said no. So you come back 2 years later and say, look, all you stupid people made a mistake and vote again.
Well, I mean,
referendum, so you can correct the mistake.
but I guess I mean, the thing with the British referendum, and same thing with Grenada, is that it was one that was also based on fear, in that you scared people into voting one way or the other. Why do you have to do that? Literally, just put the cards on the table and let the chips fall where they may. There's no need for you to instill fear in people, fear of the other. I mean, outright racism and xenophobia and everything else that you could think of. I mean, in Grenada was a different kind of fear, but fear nonetheless was employed in order to try to get to sway people one way or the other.
Another thing is
nonetheless, there were no. Yes, Catherine.
Yeah, no, they wanted to have a second referendum so they can have a yes vote. So those who remain, they wanted to have a yes. That's the main thing. If we have it again, we just have a yes vote. That's what they want the result be on the other side. That's why. That's another reason. On a second one.
So you have one group that's absolutely pushing for a second referendum, because that group is absolutely sure all the stupid people who vote no, leave the first time, will go and vote yes, stay this time. And then you will not have to fight over any settlement. Everything will go back to being the way it was, and the UK and the EU will remain in holy matrimony. Of course, the Prime Minister has insisted that there was a referendum, and it is up to the Parliament to deliver on what the people said. Then you have the other group which said the draft deal, which is put before the Parliament, is not in the best interest of the people. So who is she negotiating for? And I am still waiting to hear the specifics of what people do not like, what they think cannot work. The draft was just presented Wednesday night, UK time, and it's over 500, close to 600 pages. So today, when they had all that argument in the UK Parliament, I really don't know how many of them had read it or looked at it in any sort of detail to be able to come back with that kind of brouhaha that was happening in the House of Commons.
Yeah.
It was really interesting.
Yeah.
But one of the things when I looked at it, I said, this is exactly why a Westminster system cannot work in the Caribbean because the Prime Minister was thoroughly grilled in that house today. At the end of the day, she must have felt like a roasted turkey boy because she was put in heat.
Yeah.
She was baked.
I admire her resilience, man. Strong. She's very strong. And they tell you, take that. I thought she would have resigned with me. I resigned already. I already admire her resilience.
He is
Oh,
determined to see this through. He
mm,
is committed to it.
I didn't know. Because I
And
think they
really
said,
and truly,
yeah,
go
they
ahead,
said that
Catherine.
she's, they think that she's more siding with the EU and she betrayed the British people than she's siding with the British people. But I don't believe that.
I don't know, because I mean, and I think I'm with you on that, Catherine, in terms of, saying that she's literally between a rock and a hard place. And I think one of the key sticking points in the end here is the whole issue of Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland and that border.
Mm-hmm.
And um, that has been a major sticking point because um, Northern Ireland apparently had voted in favor of staying in the EU. And the problem between those two people is that they really don't want to return to the state where you have checkpoints and all of that stuff. The
Mm-hmm.
problem is that Northern Ireland is part of the United Kingdom.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, if you give them a soft
Mhm.
border, inevitably the argument is that, British goods get to pass, freely and stuff and everything else. And the EU is saying, no, it's a hard border or nothing else. And I mean, you can also understand that. And so that
Mhm.
is a major, major, major sticking point
Yeah,
for them,
definitely,
that
definitely.
border. And I think from what I have looked
Right.
at too is her
Mhm.
party. She was able to form her government also with a party from what was it? A minority.
Yeah,
Come on, Catherine.
yeah,
A party, one of the Northern
yeah,
Ireland parties that helped
definitely.
her to form
Yeah,
her government. So
yes.
if they decide to pull out, she is gone.
That's what I thought.
That's
Yeah,
the problem with these
yeah.
political marriages.
hmm Definitely.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mm. And then when you look at it, if her cabinet continues to crumble and her party loses hold of the parliament, and there has to be another general election,
Mm-hmm.
has already been general election in the midst of this discussion. So if there is to be another one with deadline to leave so much closer, whoever is going to be the new prime minister, they think they're going to have an easier job than Theresa May does? Or
Definitely.
will
Not
they
at all.
just burn
Definitely.
the deal
Never.
that's there
Not at
now,
all.
go to a second referendum?
hmm
Go
You
to a
know,
second referendum and tell the people, like Dr. Francis Alexis did, you better vote yes.
Everyone.
Let us stay.
That's what. Yes, that's all. There is a yes vote this time for the other part.
Exactly.
oh
Because
no.
those who have for a second referendum
hmm
doesn't seem to be even giving any notion to the thought that they could another go vote. We want to go. They are hedging all their bets and putting all their eggs in the basket that says people will vote to stay. And
Just come
I
on.
don't know how they think they could guarantee that. It's really, really interesting what is happening over there. The
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
UK,
yeah, yeah.
more, more countries, and it's just a very, very difficult situation. I do not, I wouldn't want to be even Theresa May's sister in this, in
Definitely.
all of this,
Not at all.
because
I wouldn't want to be in her situation.
mhm,
I wouldn't want, and
exactly.
yeah, I
So
mean,
these
it's
members
basically
of parliament,
like a marriage is easy to get into, but getting out of it, forget
Mm-hmm.
that.
I don't know.
yes, and the
Yeah.
UK. But it's funny because the UK, I think, was the last country to become a member of the EU, and France, it was that courted the UK and, brought them into the fold. And now France, one of the countries that's giving them the toughest time for them to leave. But it's a really, really difficult divorce that is happening, and Theresa May does not have the support of her parliament, which makes it extremely difficult for her. And when you
Mm-hmm.
look at that parliament, it just underlines what we, yeah. You want to say something, Margaret?
I was listening to you.
Carry on,
Okay.
Bev.
When
Carry
you
on.
look at that UK parliament, it tells us why a Westminster system can't work in the Caribbean. Which one of our parliaments you think you'd ever see the Prime Minister come under that kind of grilling?
Exactly. Exactly. They would push back, and their supporters would be ready to tear your head off.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also too a lot of our parliamentarians,
Exactly.
even, yeah, and sad to say too, a lot of our parliamentarians, particularly on the opposition side, sad to say, just doesn't have what it takes to engage in that kind of questioning today.
Yeah, I couldn't even look at it. The news, I
But
could.
in our
Mhm. Yeah, I couldn't get to watch her on the
it
6 o'clock
it
news.
it I'm gonna
Could see the pressure. I could feel it. It makes me just weep. I just couldn't look at it. And I thought, what's wrong with these people? You know,
mhm.
yeah, they could resign. I said, oh, they
But
could resign for
she,
your job. You got
in
money, carry
true
on.
English,
But she
in
voted for
true
him.
English fashion,
Yeah.
yeah, that came out in the parliament today that she voted to remain, but now she has to lead the effort
Hmm.
to grow because that is the result of the referendum. And as difficult as it is, she has to do it. And I look on those people who are pushing for a second referendum as cowards, really. They're afraid of the heat. They can't take the heat, and they believe the only way out of the kitchen is to get the people to tell them, okay, we'll stay, so that they can just give up all of this. This is the first time a country has ever tried to leave the EU. There is no precedent. There are no rules that were set for this, while there would have been something on paper to say if you want to leave XYZ. It's never been tested. This is the first time something like this is happening in the European Union. It's a big thing. And there is no way you're going to get all the I's dotted and all the and no way you are going to get all happy campers on all sides. And I believe some people are being very unreasonable in their demands, in expecting that you're gonna have a perfect deal and a perfect end to this marriage that the EU really doesn't want it to end. And there are a lot of people in the UK who don't want it to end. But at the end of the day, it has to end. And Theresa May keeps saying it. The 29th of March 2019, we have to go. Deal or no deal. It's going to be
Mm-hmm.
interesting days ahead. Really wait to see.
Mm.
So, before we before we go on to our next topic, we're a little bit early for the break, but might as well we take it, or else we're gonna find something else to look at with Brexit, because we only have a very, very short time before the break.
Yeah.
So we want to start a new topic now. One
Yeah.
of the things I must say that one of those ministers who resigned today, people were actually rejoicing that she left. What's her name again? Esther McVeigh. I was quite amused. People were rejoicing. They said she should have left the cabinet a long time. They were so happy. So that is one resignation which the country does not seem to regret at all.
Mm.
And
That she had, she was
didn't the chief negotiator also resign? I think
Yeah.
he was the first person here to pull out.
Yeah, he
Yes.
resigned too.
He
Yeah.
was, yeah,
What's
yeah.
his name? I can't remember his name now. It's some Davis something.
Dominic,
What Dominic
Dominic
Raab?
Raab. I don't
Yeah,
know how it's pronounced.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm saying
Raab
Rab or
or
Riab. Yeah, I hope I'm not
Yeah.
butchering the
yeah.
man's name.
Oh.
Right. So he was the first one to jump ship. And then Esther McVeigh, she's the Works and Pension Secretary. But people said she made a mess of that portfolio and she should have gone long time. So they were happy to see her go. That's one good thing Brexit still did. At least. But and then again, people were saying that the Rob Rahab fellow left, that could signal the end of the Brexit talks and the Brexit negotiations because of the key position he held. I have not heard of a replacement for him, even though
Yeah.
the resignation is still in early days. But Theresa May is pressing on, and Iron Lady number 2 for the UK. So all who thought Margaret Thatcher was Iron Lady, here
Jesus.
comes competition. Oh my goodness. Like, you see what happened? You talk about gender equality,
Yeah.
and gender this and gender that. The men who were in the position before, they all ran when this Brexit thing came up.
Exactly. Exactly.
And the lady standing. Look at the lady.
You know?
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Let's imagine. Yeah.
And despite the fire
Mm-hmm.
that they're putting her through, she's still there. She's
Yeah,
still there.
Exactly.
And when you look at options, the opposition, the largest opposition is Labour Party now. If
Yeah.
the Labour should take over the government, a second referendum would be in the making, because that's what they are pushing for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jeremy Corbyn
Oh
wanted
boy.
he wanted easy access to leadership. Jeremy Corbyn, he wanted to be Prime Minister. Jeremy Corbyn, but I don't understand Jeremy Corbyn. Yeah. And no matter what you do, Jeremy Corbyn wouldn't agree anyway. So he's in opposition. No matter what you do, he never said anything to agree on. So that's fine, no problem.
Yes, but if he were to become Prime Minister, I am sure he would want people to agree with him, though.
Definitely, yes, he would. He would.
And I wonder if he would have the character and the backbone to withstand the type of pressure that he's putting the current Prime Minister under. And how much of it he could take.
I don't think so. Theresa May.
But in my head, we will see suspect in charge, Mr. George Grant. We would like to take our first break in the program, please.
Spread some cheer and show you care with GRENADA'S Give a Wish promotion. Do you know someone who has had a challenging year and deserves some good fortune, or a worthy cause that needs extra support? Grant them a wish this holiday season with GRENADA'S. Just pay your bill in full, then write their name, address, and phone number on the top portion of your bill. Add your phone number and drop it into the wish box at any of our GRENLEC customer centers, or you can enter online via our Facebook page. 15 customers will receive a $500 electricity voucher for giving a wish to someone who deserves it. And 15 winners will each have their wish granted, valued at up to $1,500. What's more, 230 lucky customers will win $75 electricity vouchers. Spread the cheer this year with GRENLEC's Give-A-Wish promotion. Visit our website or Facebook page for more information. Terms and conditions apply. Promotion ends December 21st.
Conveniently located in the Grandstand Shopping Center, for over 40 years, Food Fair has provided quality service at affordable prices. Now, grocery shopping is made easier and more convenient from the Food Fair web store.
Hey, babe. Listen, I need you to go down to Food Fair to get some groceries.
All right, no problem. Right away.
Thanks, babe. What are you doing? You're supposed to be going Food Fair to get a grocery, man.
I am, but didn't you know you can order your groceries online from the Food Fair web store?
Are you serious?
Of course. All you have to do is just to log on to www.foodfair.gd with credit card in hand, and with an order of $100 or more, Food Fair Granadas will deliver up to 3 miles away. And you don't even have to worry about your information, you know. Their safety measures are excellent.
So hold on. You just order online and Food Fair will deliver to you?
Yep,
Oh, baby, better hurry up and order, man.
I already did. They should be here any minute now.
Enjoy easy online shopping anytime from your home or office from the Food Fair web store. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
Pure Grenada, the Isle of Spice, is more than a slogan. Grenada boasts some of the world's best spices like nutmeg, mace, clove, ginger, turmeric, and true cinnamon. These clean and naturally safe pesticide-free spices that were once available only in local markets are now one mouse click away at GRENADABROADCAST.com. Our spices are responsibly harvested in small batches to preserve freshness, unlike some bulk spices that sit around in silos all year round. Log on to www.GRENADAMarket.com and shop for Grenada's best spices. GRENADAMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Why wish upon a star? For a bank is better by far. Whatever you're wishing for this Christmas will give you low interest and no fuss.
Co-op Bank is making Christmas wishes come true. Fix up your home, treat your loved ones, and get everything on your Christmas list this year with our no-fuss loans. As we count down the 12 days to Christmas, you can win awesome prizes every day. Special terms and conditions apply.
Christmas wishes come true with Co-op Bank and you.
Welcome home.
All right, folks, just before I turn it back to you guys out there in Zoom land, just let me say we are having a horrendous night tonight on the internet. I see here that on Facebook there are only 2 comments. Would you believe it? T.F. Richard says he's listening from a snowy Brooklyn, and I want to take you on that in just a minute, Margaret. Fitzroy Adams says the internet is really acting up tonight. And let me tell you, guys, it's not just the internet getting out to Facebook tonight. Even the conversation you guys are having tonight, I mean, it is just dreadful. Very, very difficult for people to understand what you guys are saying. So even though the folks out there in New York and around the world may be having issues, we are having some terrible, terrible issues here. Now, Margaret, where's Margaret? Where is Margaret?
I'm right here. I'm right here.
Margaret, just before the program started tonight, you sent me 3 photographs on WhatsApp of what's going on in New York tonight.
Yeah.
Margaret, you ever heard about a guy named Jack Frost?
Yeah.
Why doesn't somebody tell this guy that it's not even December?
I know, it's not even winter yet. We got our first snow today.
Oh, that was your first?
Yes. The first snow for the season. It's well. I think they may have had some light snow upstate. Kind of like close to that Canadian border there. You know how that goes in those
Yeah, yeah,
areas.
yeah, yeah.
They may have had some up there, some light snow, some a week or so ago. But certainly in the city and the rest of the thing, we got our first snow today, and it kind of like created havoc because nobody was prepared for it.
Oh.
Because even I knew it was going to snow because they did say it was going to be, it would start to snow, go to sleet, and then become rain. So I think it's in the process of transitioning to rain or whatever. But I didn't think it would have been as much as it did, and there was a lot of snow on the ground. I came home, I was looking at the news and saw that you had trees fell. People are stranded, can't travel anywhere. MTA has told the buses to pull over and park because they weren't
Wow.
prepared for this. Because they normally put, they put those chains on the wheels
Yeah.
in the winter.
Yeah.
So they weren't prepared for that. So they're like slipping and sliding. So they've told them to pull over and park on the side. So a lot of people are stuck. Traffic has been on the George Washington Bridge. Nothing's moving. You literally see pictures of vehicles, traffic in Manhattan. People are just sitting there. They can't go anywhere. And people are just walking over the bridge.
I can't believe it, man. I can't believe it. Wow.
Yeah.
And today is what, the 15th of
Oh,
November?
yes.
Yeah. All right. Take it away, Bev.
Yes, keep the snow there. We'll keep the sunshine down here. Not trading, and we're not even sharing. We invite you to come and enjoy.
I know, right? I know.
Oh yeah, yes, it is. It is. I don't live in a country that has 4 seasons, but I have been wondering how long is this winter season going to be since it is starting so early? Is it going to end in January or is it going to continue all the way down to March?
No, yeah, because bear in mind, winter doesn't officially start until around the 21st or something like that, 21st, 22nd of December, somewhere around there, right? And then it runs through March. And generally, January and February are your worst months.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think a T.S. Eliot, he says that April is the cruelest month. When it comes to winter, January and February are the cruelest months.
Yeah, Margaret, I agree with you that January and February are usually the worst. But I'll tell you, in Toronto, I have seen some Aprils which would make you cry. I'm talking nasty, nasty weather in April. When everybody's bragging about, oh well, it's spring and spring has sprung and this and that and the other diddly squat. Man, you gotta be kidding. Yeah, no, seriously.
That's the time when you say spring has sprung.
I know, right?
My foot.
It has definitely sprung. Yeah, but the weather is kind of freaky these days. So you never know what to expect. You just have to be certainly be prepared for anything at this time of the year.
Yeah.
But for the past, we've been having it very mild here. Up to today is very mild. You don't need to put your heating on. But they said next week is going downhill. So maybe we may have some snow from next week as well.
Your turn is coming, young
Something
lady.
will change next week, yeah.
Wow.
Your turn is coming, young lady.
Oh boy. Yes, well, some of the things we're hoping will change by next week. It's this dispute that's happening, this war which is currently going on between the workers in the public service and the government, the members of what we call government, which is also a part of the public service. The short of the story is that a few days before the election in March, the workers' unions, the public workers' unions, unions representing workers in various public sector areas, the police, the teachers, various different groups of workers, their union representatives signed an agreement, a memorandum of understanding with the government to look at pension reform and restoration. Now, You know what happens when you do things like that in the heat of an election. When that was done, it came across to the rest of us who were not involved and probably not paying a lot of attention at the time that some agreement had been reached on the issue of pension restoration and reform, because Grenada has a very unique situation with that. Because of the revolution, there was a very, very serious change to how pensions are paid to public sector workers. Before the revolution, everyone would get a government pension from the consolidated fund as covered in the Constitution, because the Constitution gives them that right. You are entitled to that pension paid by the consolidated fund, except, and the Constitution says, except the money is to be made available through some fund. So when the PRG, the People's Revolutionary Government, was in place, they did not have a constitution because, of course, they threw out the constitution. But when the NIS was fully established, they decided that the NIS would become that other fund from which the public servants would be paid. However, before all of this was properly done, the People's Revolutionary Government came to its bloody end. So everything crashed. When what is now called democracy, a democratic form of government, was restored, this democratic government decided to keep what the PRG had called the Pensions Disqualification Act. So they went ahead, they passed a validation act to make it valid so that those who joined the service after a certain date in 1984 would not be entitled to a pension from the consolidated fund. They would only be entitled to an NIS pension. But it's a very complicated issue because subsequent to that, there was an act, or there is an act which is still in place, which gives teachers, and I am not even that I'm not sure. I don't know if other public sector workers are covered under this, but I know that the teachers are covered under this act, where they are entitled to a gratuity of 25% of whatever their pension will amount to when they retire. So this 25%, which those who follow the news or have been following would hear being bandied about all over the place. That's the 25% which the government has said can't pay. We can't pay 25%, giving you 2% done. But here it comes again, because the Constitution says you can't do that. It says you cannot give the workers pension gratuities or any form of, or any kind of compensation, which is a disadvantage to them. So you have the Constitution, and I am wondering, why is it that what the Constitution says is not being featured more prominently in this argument? Because the Constitution plays a hell of a role in this whole scheme of pensions, gratuities for public sector workers, including judges. You know, the right now, and with a kind of jumping ahead of the argument, because injunctions are being filed, you know. The same people who filed the injunction before are also going to be impacted by whatever decision comes out of this. So the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and I believe that should be put in perspective before a decision, because on the face of it, you cannot reduce what they are supposed to get. Put them at a disadvantage according to the Constitution. But, and there has been a war of words and action in some places George has some clips, and I want us to listen to some of the things that have been said and are being said out in public about this pension drama. So we're gonna listen to this and we can give our opinions on what was said and maybe put some suggestions on the table. We know that people in positions of authority tend not to listen to sensible suggestions, but we put them out there anyway. So George, you have those tips ready for us?
Yeah, the first one
The
you're
first one
the first one is that of Lyden Lewis, who is the president of the Grenada Union of Teachers. And he was explaining that, the unions have made an awful lot of compromise. And I guess they're at the point right now where
Yeah,
they
George,
feel
your volume is low.
my volume is low. How is my volume?
That's better now.
That's better now. Thank you. I like your haircut, Margaret. Anyhow, Lyden Lewis is saying that, hey, the unions have made a lot of sacrifices, even though they have been accused of not. And he's sort of trying to justify the demands that they are making. Take a listen to this.
If the government so decides to implement the cabinet decision to withdraw our salaries, once we are certain that this would happen, the union would instruct a total walk to rule, meaning that workers will be asked, what teachers will be asked.
Okay, I goofed there. That was the wrong clip. Let me try this one.
Where we are, it's 25%. If government has something else, then let us know. We will consider it. We have not acted irresponsible or unreasonable in the past, and no need for us to do so now. As I said, we took the nation into consideration when we took a freeze in salaries, in wages and salaries. We took the nation into consideration when we had minimal percentage increases. We took the nation into consideration when we agreed to the 15% income tax for 30,000 plus. So we have shown a commitment. What has government shown to us? Government, through their actions and the utterings, are proving the critics wrong. Those political pundits and those critics of the union and the government is now proving these people wrong by saying to them that there was no agreement, that the MOU was not legal. So, in my opinion, and in the opinion of the union, they are attempted to make people believe that we are hoodwinked into signing the agreement, and we are clear that this is not the case.
All right. That's Lyden Lewis trying to explain, that these guys have in fact made sacrifices. You guys want to comment on that?
No, let's.
You want to go on to the other comment?
Yeah, let's hear them.
No, we're gonna.
Yeah.
Beverly?
No, I just want to make sure everyone got the gist of what Lyden Lewis, he's the president of the teachers union. You got the gist of what he was saying, Catherine?
Wasn't very clear to me at all.
Yeah.
I hardly hear.
So, I had some hearing too, but I know what's in the clip. So he was outlining some of the compromises that members of the union would have taken in the interest of the greater good for the country.
Yeah.
Because Grenada is just coming out of a 3-year structural adjustment program. And during that 3-year period, members of the union agreed that they would not take any pay increases during that period. They would not take anything outside of just their regular salary during that period. The one-off payment was given to them, which was a lot lower than they thought they would have gotten at the end of the period, and they accepted it instead of fighting for more. All of this, they said they did in the greater good of the country. So they outlined some of these sacrifices and compromises that they made for the greater good because a lot of the argument out there has been that they should think of the greater good when they're asking for this 25% because the government cannot pay. So that's the gist of what he was saying.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So you could take the next clip.
And who is the next clip, Beverly? Is that going to be the minister about the potential casualties if government goes ahead and gives these people their 25%? This is actually a piece from the GIS. Check this out.
The Grenada government says if it is to find an additional $21 million to pay gratuity to under 2,000 public workers, it could bring key programs to a halt. Trade Minister Oliver Joseph said Tuesday that the Housing Repair Program, the Debushing Program and the Imani Youth Program could be among the casualties.
If the government is to agree with the union's proposal, then the poor man out in St. David's who looking for 2 fortnights, or Mr. Samuel who waiting for me to repair his roof and build a toilet on him, there will be no money left for that. Or the 1,300 Imanis that we're taking on, there will be no money left. The money will have to be used to meet this bill.
Okay.
Yeah. That one I had heard. So I kind of like have a gist of what he was saying there. Catherine, you heard that?
Was it not very clear?
Okay, so that was, yeah, that was the government minister on his side, pretty much saying that if they were to give the public workers and the teachers and what they demand, then it would mean that there wouldn't be any money for things like the devotion program and to help the poor. You know, the poor always comes up.
Yeah.
So all the programs that are there to help the poor will not be there anymore, because guess what? The greedy teachers and public workers would have taken it for themselves. That's basically what he said.
Oh, I see. So what happened is that did the government at some point promise to pay that 25%? Was that agreement?
The 25% is given to the teachers by law.
That's a gratuity, is it?
So whether or not the gratuity, which is that lump sum money that the public workers would get upfront when they retire. So and then the pension would be the money that follow. So the law which covers the teachers says that the gratuity is supposed to be 25% of whatever your pensionable income is for 12 and a half years.
That's right.
Right. So when you retire, whatever salary you were getting when you retired, your pension would be a percentage of that salary for 12 and a half years. So you take 25% of that and you pay upfront when the person is leaving the service. And then the balance is paid monthly over the 12 and a half years. So the government is saying, we can't give you this 25%, we can give you 2%, and then we give you 98% over the 12 and a half years. And the public servants say 25% is what the law says. We want our 25%, 75% over the next 12 and a half years. So that is the crux of the war. But I think the real issue has just been clouded in a lot of stuff. But that clip is really interesting.
Exactly.
I actually had a good laugh and I heard it, you know. I said, so you want to tell me that is the pensioners' money they have paying me money? I'm paying for the bushing.
Exactly.
Tell them they could do that.
You know, and the other thing that came to my mind, and I said, you know, people would say that I'm cold, but I would tell them I didn't tell the poor to have children that they couldn't afford to mind.
Of course, Marx, it's true.
I mean, it is cold to say, but that's the fact.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter
But
is that
again,
he's talking about these teachers. How many of these teachers take out of their meager pittance of a salary to buy supplies for the same children of the poor, to buy them meals? How many teachers, when they go home, have to do? Teachers don't get paid what they deserve, because guess what? Their work don't end at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock when they walk out that classroom. When they get home, they've got to prepare lesson plans for the next day. They don't get paid for that. You hear? When they have to engage in extracurricular activities, they don't get paid for that. So all of that is free labor that is going to guess who? The poor.
And right now, you have must be about 1,300 what you call Imani trainees who are not being trained anywhere. They're going to classes in the afternoon, and that is what they're doing. I don't know what they do the rest of their day, but they have classes in the afternoon, and that is where they are in the program now, because they have to do these 3 months, I believe, of these life skills and self-esteem classes before they actually start into a training program. So the Imani program is there, and I am not saying there doesn't have to be some kind of program for young people, but you can't take the people pension money and pay for it. You just can't do that.
Exactly.
And then you're gonna tell them that if you're gonna.
But here's the irony of that too. Government waste and mismanagement and all the hundreds of thousands of dollars that they've taken and wasted when you guaranteed loans for people on a picture, when you have done all of these things, don't you wasn't that money that you took away from the bushing? Wasn't that money you took away from the poor? I mean, really? But because these people are saying, look, I need to get what I am owed and what I'm due and everything else, suddenly they're taking away from the poor. Suddenly you're concerned about the poor when your pockets was filled. When you bring people in who treat people like scab, have them work under all kind of abysmal working conditions, when you take what is people's natural resources and their patrimony and you give it away to people for pittance, isn't that taken from the poor? Aren't the same poor going to be deprived from using these resources?
And the Minister of Trade, and in all of this, I'm wondering, where is the Minister of Labor, the Honorable Peter David? Haven't heard a peep out of him. It's the Minister of Trade that is out there, and the Cabinet Secretary, Mrs. Bereliza. Those are the two people who have been out front. Haven't heard a word out of the Labor Commissioner, haven't heard a word out of the Minister of Labor. These people still have been missing on the equation. But I am really just wondering if sometimes when these ministers of government speak, if someone gives them a script, if they speak off the top of their head, or if they really think about what they're saying before they open their mouths to speak. You mentioned 3 programs that are for the so-called poor. I am sure a lot of these teachers figure into the category of poor based on what they are paid and the demands on the little money that they are paid, with these same children in the schools that they have to be looking after, and all the toilet paper they have to buy and everything that they have to buy to supplement the Ministry of Education, which is unable to properly take care of the schools. And then the minister is going to sit there and name 3 programs that are for the poor, as if these are the only 3 programs from where you could take money to pay the pensions and gratuities.
Exactly.
Really, Mr. Minister? Those are the only programs? But it's the way politicians like to talk, to play on people's emotions.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, the teachers are well-to-do and well-off, and they're just awful and greedy because they want to take away the money. They want to take away what's the name of the person he called? Mr. Campbell is waiting on him to be from the toilet and take away all of
Yes,
these
yes.
subsistence programs.
And he can't give the teachers that because he won't. I mean, really?
So the teachers
Yes.
now, the teachers now take it away from the poor people, not the
Yeah.
government. Teachers.
So Mr.
Yes.
Man can't get when Mr. Man can't get a toilet and he defecates out on the street. That's the teacher's fault.
That's the teacher's fault. So the teachers'
Yes.
demand is taken from the teachers' demand now is taken away from the poor people. Why this confusion? What is going on there?
And
This is so unfair.
I don't know how a teacher who is probably going home with anything from $1,300 to maybe $2,500. I don't think there is any teacher in any government school that's going home with $6,000 or $7,000 per month.
Definitely not.
Mm-hmm.
Not, you know. So
I don't know. So I don't know how they could be classified as anything else but poor. And you're trying to make it sound as if they are so awful because they want to stop all these programs. And the next thing he said within that context, was that they're to find this money to pay 2,000 public workers. I don't know where you come up with this figure of 2,000. 2,000 public workers are retiring every year. That would be something. Because the last check, I know there were about 5,000 or so public workers in the system. So if every year you have 2,000 of those retiring, what kind of state would the public service be in? I don't know who Minister Joseph thinks he's trying to fool by just throwing around these figures and throwing out these statements as if the people he's talking to.
I tell you, they know the choir they preaching to, girl.
And
They're
then,
certainly know.
Trying to play on people's emotion.
Yeah.
Turn people against the very same teachers who are a part of the backbone of communities and societies and trying to shape a proper future for the country. But we have another clip because when the teachers, of course, took some industrial action, they took a few days to rest, reflect, and other public workers took a couple of days as well to calculate and rest and reflect on the gratuities and the pensions. And this was what the minister said of those workers who took industrial action for a few days.
The cabinet has decided that in accordance with law, if you withhold your labor, then the employer can withhold his wages. So if you did not provide labor, then you should not expect to be paid for days that you did not work. And therefore, workers who did not show up for work, on the days on which they did not work, the salary will be deducted for days not worked.
Is it plain?
We're not hearing.
Yeah. But I think yeah.
Margaret, did you hear it?
No.
No, we didn't hear it.
None of us heard.
That's interesting. I heard it. Huh. All right. Let me try running it again.
Plane was quite low.
Yeah. There's some nights I wish I had gone to bed at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, nothing.
Okay. So, let's try it again.
The cabinet has decided that in accordance with law, if you withhold your labor, then the employer can withhold his wages. So if you did not provide labor, then you should not expect to be paid for days that you did not work. And therefore, workers who did not show up for work, on the days on which they did not work, the salary will be deducted for days not worked.
Workers who did not show up for work on
The
3 days
13
this week
yeah.
and 2 last week will not be paid.
Yeah, we certainly have some audio challenges this evening.
That
But
ain't
in
all,
that
girl.
clip, the short of that story is that the minister says, well, all you didn't come to work, or you're getting no pay for those days.
Yeah.
So an order has been given according to reports and images of letters of memos that we've seen in social media. An order has been given. The teachers and the public servants are not supposed to be paid for the days that they did not turn up for work. Now, the law may give you the right to do that, but in an environment that is already in turmoil, why do you want to go and throw gasoline on the fire, even if the law tells you that you can do that? I just think that approach is so wrong.
Yeah,
The workers. Yeah, go ahead, Margaret.
No, I was going to say that I agree with you, and considering that there's also been chatter about there being talk of a review of ministers or parliamentarian salaries. I mean, really?
Yes, in the midst of all that, this young minister is going to say parliamentarians have been denied since 1995, and he's been calling for increase since he was elected to the parliament. I'm like, really? And you think now is the best time to bring that argument into the I just can't. I don't know who advised these ministers. I don't know who advised these public officials. I don't know how they go about making these decisions, do these things, and to say these things, but they really need to have some proper guidance inside of that cabinet and wherever they get together and discuss.
Well, no, they don't have to, Bev, because guess what? They own the whole hog. So they can do whatever they want to do. Yes.
Yeah. They have no opposition, no one to oppose them. So they just do on their own.
Yeah.
And whatever the leader said, everybody agreed because they're just one party state, and that's all. That's all.
They don't have to care about optics at all.
Catherine.
Yes,
don't blame them. That was the wish of the Grenadian people.
Definitely, and it's March 13th. That's another thing I always think about.
Yeah.
That is what they voted for.
So point
more to come.
Point your fingers at the Grenadian people. They had the freedom. And look at what they did. Not once.
But twice. How many times?
Twice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Since these people, since the trade union signed this memorandum of understanding with that government around election time, I said, that's a bad idea. That's a bad move. And they're going to regret that. I knew that going to come. That you don't do these things. At that time, you should pile that pressure on. That's the time you should put that pressure on. Strike and everything at that time before the March 13 election. That's the time you should take great action and you see something. You don't do these things. Why these people do that? And fine, that's what you vote for. Then you got the consequence now. I'm really sorry to say that, be harsh, but this is what we expect.
Right, but you're right. Elections have consequences.
That's the consequences you're reaping now.
They make those dumb decisions, and then they all become experts in social media. Start issuing criticisms and condemnations like you wouldn't believe. Who the hell are they condemning but themselves? Huh? And you know what? You know what? Having seen what goes on in this place, I would not in the least be surprised if I see it happen again. We seem to take joy and pride in goofing up and then blaming everybody else.
Correct.
Yeah, not taking any responsibility for their actions because it's always somebody else's fault.
Yeah.
And that is how you go around blaming other people, making bad decisions, and then blaming other people for the bad decisions that they made.
Definitely.
Oh,
I just
it's
wonder
crazy.
when will we ever learn? We did something last year, we said the same problem, we come back and we do this year the same thing, and we go the next year the same thing. We're not even learning to say, well, oh, this doesn't work, let's change my direction. No one like that. They keep on repeating the same thing. What kind of a people are that? That's our level of thinking? We can't get out of that box. I don't understand.
It's core piece of food.
It's really frustrating. We frustrate ourselves. It's really frustrating. I just don't understand it. I don't know. I mean, years ago, I was growing up home, and I think I was going to commercial school. I was doing the typing thing, and I was saying something to the teacher, and she turned around to say to me, Catherine, not everybody in this country think like you. I said, really? But people don't think then. People don't use their mind. I said, what was happening? Yeah, she said, people don't think like you, Catherine. That's what's happening. We don't think. I don't understand. When are we gonna? I don't know.
Well, I guess part of it is part of it is instant gratification. You get $50, you get a roof, or you get a window or something of the sort, and you say, okay, that's it. I guess everybody has a price. The question is how high.
You get a room.
Well, Bev, you're right. Yeah, I mean, I say, everybody has a price, but the question is how high. It seems to me that the price in Grenada is extremely low. I mean,
Oh, gosh. You suspects gonna get you in trouble,
No, I mean, if you're telling me a drink of rum is enough to get you, I mean, really and truly, your price really low, girl. What? No, man. Nah.
Exactly so.
Don't wonder why now the government is now the powers that be telling them, well, 25% is too much for you, 2% is enough for you. What's going on? You are cheap anyway. You settle for $50 before election. Why can you not settle for this now? Nah,
exactly.
Settle for that now.
Exactly.
Now you are cheap.
That is true.
That's why
because 2% is a lot more than that drink of rum.
Yes. So why can you settle for that? What's wrong with you? This is what's happening. We put ourselves in that situation. John was saying, we put ourselves there. Now you're reaping harvest. Sorry, but sorry to be harsh, people. What we ask for? I'm sorry.
Whatsoever you reap, whatsoever you sow, you will reap.
That's an absolutely valid point. A very, very valid point. If you demonstrate that you're cheap, that's how you'll be treated.
Exactly. The old people had to say, check, bring itself, give it blue. Well, they know they bring themselves, so they get blue.
Yes.
Well.
Stupid people sign every year on the election.
But I'll tell you something. When the minister came out and declared that they're gonna dock people pay for staying away from work in protest, the union didn't take it lying down though, and the president of the union, Mr. Lyden Lewis, he fired back. George, you want to hear how Mr. Lewis responded? And Catherine, you may need to put your volume up a little bit.
Yeah, I heard his response. She needs to hear it.
If the government so decides to implement the cabinet decision to withdraw our salaries, once we are certain that this will happen, the union will instruct a total walk to rule, meaning that workers will be asked, or teachers will be asked, to report to work at quarter, 15 minutes before work, and leave immediately after half an hour in school. We would ask all fundraising activities be immediately stopped.
Is anyone hearing anything?
No sporting activities. We would not have the national primary school games. We would not have any college games.
Yeah, we're not.
I'm hearing this loud and clear here.
Yeah,
No,
it's
not
we're
hearing
not
it.
hearing it.
Wow. All right.
They're hearing you. Okay.
We're going to try again. We're going to try again. Here we go.
We ask our teachers
How about
to
now?
collect all
We're
SBAs
hearing
and
you.
ship them
Not
to
yet.
the Ministry of Education without them being marked, because this is not our duties. And also CPA papers.
Okay, I don't know what to tell you because it's going out of here just fine. Actually, it's peaking. In other words, it's a little bit louder than it should be. But
Right. It's probably just not. Yeah, it's not coming through to us.
hey, yeah, man, we will survive. Gloria Gaynor. Okay, so carry on with your tete-a-tete.
We've been excommunicated.
Now, this is kind of annoying because I mean this thing is really going out loud and booming here. So I don't know what happens after it leaves here, but it's going out. I can guarantee you. Let me fire it up one more time.
The cabinet has decided that in accordance with law, if you withhold your labor,
If the government so decides
Are you
to
hearing it now?
implement the cabinet decision to
No.
withdraw our salaries, once we are certain that this will happen, the union will
Okay.
instruct
Hearing you,
a
but not
total
nothing.
walk to
All
rule,
right, so much-
meaning
so much
that
for Mr.
workers will be
Light
asked,
Lewis.
or teachers will be asked,
Um,
to report to work at quarter,
Tell you what, I
15 minutes
played that.
before,
I
and
played
leave
that.
immediately after half an hour in
I
school.
played that clip.
We would ask
on
all
today's
that
edition
all
of Good Day Grenada's. So if you guys want after the program, you can go check it out. It's on the GRENADABROADCAST.com website. You can check it out there. Hello?
Yes. So I guess we have to just kind of bring Catherine and the listeners who may not have heard it up to date. The president of the union threw down the gauntlet, and it's work to rule. No extracurricular activities, no sporting activities, no arts activities, no SBA marking, nothing. They say it's not in their job description, it's not responsibility, and they will not be doing it as long as this docking of the pay is going to happen. All the extra work they've been doing without pay, they're just not going to be doing it. And, that is the kind of consequence which comes with this kind of short-term thinking. As now, where does that leave you? School is all about extracurricular activities. What happens in the classroom is all part of school. And the teachers, Margaret said it earlier, they do all these things without any extra pay. And these teachers have made themselves into, I would say, experts in various fields in which they are not trained, just so that they can get children prepared in sports, in debating, in arts and crafts, in so many things. A lot of these teachers are not trained in these areas, but they find a way to help the children, to help them develop the skills that they have in them. So if a child can't excel academically, they're going to excel in some other way because the teachers help the child to be a well-rounded person in many respects. Unionized teachers say, no way. If you are going to dock our pay, we are going to work to you.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the situation that is now happening on the scene in Grenada between the actors,
Is that somebody's phone?
sections of the publishers, and I don't even know how to say their employer because they're all one. They're all one. You're going to be telling a permanent secretary now that they should go and ensure that you dock the pay of your colleague, not because you're a PS, you have a different position, but side by side, your colleagues, and especially the case in education right now, who just came out of the school system himself, none other than Mr. Sidney Jeffrey, this scholar, who just came out of the school system, out of the classroom to take up that position. And he knows what happens in those classrooms. And you're going to tell him that he is to instruct that these teachers not be paid for those days when they were off the job. And you're also going to assume that any teacher who did not turn up for work on those days was because they were protesting.
But that is something that crossed my mind too, Beverly, because somebody may have had a legitimate reason for not being there. The person didn't participate, and stuff, and they had a legitimate reason. That person might have been ill. They may have had to take care of a family member. And now what are you going to do? Dock that person's salary for that? Really?
Precisely.
I mean,
So
I know it can be docked, but really and truly, can you prove that everybody who stayed home for because of industrial action? Really? Can you prove that?
All right, guys, I'll tell you what. I'm a very persistent little guy, and I really want people to hear that clip from Leiden. So would you mind just giving me half a sec here? Let me try playing that again and see if you hear it this time. Hello?
Yeah.
I said sure.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
If the government so decides to implement the cabinet decision to withdraw our side,
are you hearing it?
Once we are certain that this will happen, the union will instruct a total.
Nah, obviously there's a problem because
not yet.
Obviously, because again, I'm hearing it loud and clear here. So, okay, all right, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but as bad as the audio was with the others, we could hear something, but this time nothing. It's all quiet. But be that as it may, I think we covered in some sense what Lyndon Lewis, the president of the GUT, the teachers union, had to say about that response from the minister. But this is the kind of thing that happens when those who are in positions of leadership and authority really turn out to be rather short-sighted in what they are doing. Because when you are the person where the buck stops, you take the position and accept the position of employer. And you are supposed to be the one setting the example, leading the way. You are supposed to determine which direction this thing will. And you are there to how do you expect a positive outcome of this impasse? I don't get it. If your objective is for there to be some kind of positive, amicable outcome, amicable meaning the parties can come to an agreement and move forward. If that is what you are looking for, then tell me, why are you behaving this way? Because the actions do not demonstrate that you are looking for an amicable action. Dictates that the action gives the impression that you want war, you want to fight, you want to show who has more rights. You're just not interested in a peaceful outcome because your actions are not moving in that direction. How do you feel about that, guys?
Yeah, I think
hear somebody beside myself.
Oh, you know what it is? Yeah, that delay is like, yeah. No, but I think you make a very good point on that. It seems to me, it's nobody wants to give an inch here, right? Nobody wants to lose. Everybody here is in this to win. So it's who could punch. I this one throws a punch and the other one tries to throw a harder punch. Basically, is what's going on.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to lose face. It's not going to work for them if they,
Definitely. It's good to see that they're standing their grounds at the end of the day. Walk to rule, is standing their grounds. I mean, but wasn't there an article I saw, I think, on Grenada Broadcast, where the government are going to take out an injunction to stop the strike? What was that?
Well, yeah, there's a move to I saw that earlier today. There's a move to
Let us talk about that. When we come back from the break, we look at these injunctions and
okay
then, yeah.
All right.
Grenadian General Insurance Company, strength and stability. Grenadian General Insurance Company. Tell your friends, tell your family. We cover householders comprehensive, motor and even fire too. Contractors all risk burglary, public liability, professional indemnity, directors liability, and wait, we still have more. Come and find out more what you're waiting for.
We are located on Scott Street, St. George's. For more information, call 440-2434.
Tell everybody.
Why wish upon a star? For a bank is better by far. Whatever you're wishing for this Christmas, will give you low interest and no fuss.
Co-op Bank is making Christmas wishes come true. Fix up your home, treat your loved ones, and get everything on your Christmas list this year with our no-fuss loans. As we count down the 12 days to Christmas, you can win awesome prizes every day. Special terms and conditions apply.
Christmas wishes come true with Co-op Bank and you.
Spread some cheer and show you care with GRENADA'S Give a Wish promotion. Do you know someone who has had a challenging year and deserves some good fortune, or a worthy cause that needs extra support? Grant them a wish this holiday season with GRENADA. Just pay your bill in full, then write their name, address, and phone number on the top portion of your bill. Add your phone number and drop it into the wish box at any of our GRENADA customer centers, or you can enter online via our Facebook page. 15 customers will receive a $500 electricity voucher for giving a wish to someone who deserves it, and 15 winners will each have their wish granted, valued at up to $1,500. What's more, 230 lucky customers will win $75 electricity vouchers. Spread the cheer this year with GRENADA'S Give a Wish promotion. Visit our website or Facebook page for more information. Terms and conditions apply. Promotion ends December 21st.
So, babe, Alberto and Beryl come and gone, right? So that means we still have Chris, Debbie, Florence, Michael, Patty, Sarah.
From the looks of it, Tony and Valerie might be coming as well. So we need to pick up some extra hurricane supplies.
You don't know how many hurricanes will be coming this season, so you need to be prepared. At Hubbard's Hardware and Building Supply departments and the Food Fair supermarkets, everything from canned foods, flashlights and batteries, to plywood, tarpaulin, lanterns, roof repair kits, water tanks, etc. are available. For over 90 years, we've helped you prepare for and recover from storms. Hubbard's is an integral part of your hurricane preparedness plan. get discounts when using credit and debit cards.
Pure Grenada, the Isle of Spice, is more than a slogan. Grenada boasts some of the world's best spices like nutmeg, mace, clove, ginger, turmeric, and true cinnamon. These clean and naturally safe pesticide-free spices that were once available only in local markets are now one mouse click away at GRENADABROADCAST.com. Our spices are responsibly harvested in small batches to preserve freshness, unlike some bulk spices that sit around in silos all year round. Log on to www.GRENADAMarket.com and shop for Grenada's best spices. GRENADAMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
All right. We're back. Tell me you're hearing me.
You.
You're hearing me. Bev, just give me half a sec to say hello to some of the people.
We're back.
Yeah, let me say hi to some of the folks out there who are with us in Germany. I see somebody in Mexico. Do you guys know anybody in Mexico this evening? Nah. Okay. Thornhill, Ontario. Pardon me?
They know us.
They know us. Okay. Thornhill in Ontario, Canada.
Mexico knows.
Brooklyn, New York, Delray Beach and Florida, Wilde, Barbados, South Ozone Park. Do you know where that is, Mags? It's in New York?
South Ozone Park, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's in Queens.
That's in Queens. Okay. North York, Ontario. Dallas, Texas. Los Angeles, California. Nice to have you folks. I admire your patience with the feed that they're getting tonight on Facebook. But life goes on. Take it away, Beverly.
Yes, and welcome back to all the listeners. We certainly appreciate them staying with us and participating in our Mek We Chat vibes. But I just got this note here on my WhatsApp. It's the GUT Sam, and I want to share it.
I'm seeing that on my WhatsApp too.
GUT, we shall not change. It fights for our pension. It leadeth us to stay home on reflection. The rest can it leads us to think our treatment for our futures. Yea, though we walk through the clouds and weak, our strength is gone. Shall bore are done. Thou prepare letter to deduct from our salaries. Thou lookest for more action. Your arrogance runneth over. Surely, Emlyn and Olive shall their mouths, but we will stand with the union leader forever.
I have it here. I just saw it too.
Oh gosh.
I almost hear in solidarity forever in my head after that.
I didn't hear everything because Beverly keeps sticking, but I love the ending. Stand up for your rights, darling. Stand up.
I tell you, with the advent of social media, everything that happens becomes what you call a meme. There's always a meme, there's always a picture, there's always a poem, always something coming out of every situation. The referendum had quite a feel, you know? The whole situation, when the Prime Minister referred to the teeth, talked about the stealing in the hospital, oh my goodness, that created a meme storm. And now you see the memes that have started to come. This isn't the first one surrounding this whole pension issue and how the government has been treating. But before we went on the break, we had touched on the injunctions. And Margaret, you want to, or Catherine, both of you in turn, want to just say what you have heard about the injunctions and then take it from there.
Well, I think one of the things that came across on my one of the messages that I saw today was that there was going to be a move to get a motion on the government's part to have the judge, have the court order them back to work. Sinodai, I think that was basically what they were going to do that tomorrow. Basically, was what I saw that they were going to move to get that done.
Is it some kind of clause in the law that says that if they are going out to protest is illegal or something like that? So I don't understand.
Not as far as I know, but I mean, you could, you could get a court order to order people back to work.
Oh, I see what you mean.
can.
Okay. I was wondering, they're protesting. Is it illegal for them to protest?
No, not necessarily.
No,
I mean, no,
it's
you
not.
could argue like for some categories of workers, you could definitely do that. Consider them to be essential workers. Yeah, you could get the court to order them to go back to work.
Oh, right.
And pending, but then normally, they will say, well, pending something, maybe negotiations continuing or arbitration or whatever. But I think they were seeking a court order that Sinodai option attached to it, which basically suspends, has like a limitless thing on it. They could come back at it in 1 week or they could come back with it never. Basically.
Yeah, what I want to do is to prevent people in the hospitals and other such services from taking any kind of industrial action. Under union agreements, and I'm not sure how much of it is really covered in law, but there are agreements and certainly some acts which would cover it. That area within the public sector known as the essential services.
This
would be fire, hospital, airport, those critical areas that if they shut down, they could endanger lives, they could really put the country at risk. So generally during industrial disputes, those workers are not allowed to take any kind of industrial action that would keep them away from work. But the government minister decided that it was necessary to take it one step further and not just depend on these workers to obey the law which govern the essential services, but they were going to file an injunction to prevent them from taking any type of industrial action within this current impasse. So that. And then the union says they will be filing an action to prevent them from docking their fee as well. So those two actions, as far as I heard, were filed in the courts sometime during the course of today. So we wait to hear what dates will be given for those hearings and what will come to them if they actually go through. But I just find all of this drama so unnecessary. Sometimes I say something has to be wrong with the way I look at things and the way I think about things, because it's like what I'm seeing, the people in authority, I believe should be seeing it clearly. And it's like they don't care. This is it.
But let me ask a question, Bev, and George, maybe you would know as well. So I was listening to Alan this morning, and he mentioned that you don't just like go into action like that, but there's a number of things there's a whole process that you go through before you finally get to this stage where you kind of like take this sort of action. So as far as the unions are concerned, and as far as both of you know, did anything of that nature happen there before, or was it just like straight from A to Z without going through
Well, Margaret, as you heard earlier on in the program, Lydon was talking about some of the compromises that have been made by the unions over a period of time. And the point I was trying to make with Alan this morning is that, yes, I agree that, you should do everything possible to avert winding up in the situation that you're in right now. However, when you stop and think about, people go through a lot of frustrations and there comes a breaking point and you snap. And I suspect that's what's happened. Just like with the referendum. People have been crying out and crying out and crying out in the run up to the referendum, and nobody was listening. Nobody. So they exercised their franchise on the morning of the referendum, okay, in low numbers, but they just went out and voted no. You snap. That's my explanation. Not saying it's right, not saying
There
it's wrong.
were a lot of negotiations.
What was that, Bev?
As far as we know, as far as we know, negotiations have been ongoing since that MOU was signed, and I guess after the election dust settled, the unions would have moved to engage the government negotiating team on what they expected the discussions to be based on the MOU.
Right.
But because we did hear earlier, sometime earlier, the General of GTAU did say that government seems to be reneging on what they had promised to do based on the MOU. And then from there, it's like all hell just broke loose.
Oh,
Because
okay.
when this whole situation came up during just about the time, a few days before the referendum date, it was being said that the unions were just doing this to influence the outcome of the referendum. And said, no, we've been talking about a while and we're not getting the kind of responses we expected to get. So now we plan to escalate this issue. And that is what has happened. So I do expect, I don't know for sure, ABC right down to Z what they did. What I do know is that talks are going on, and it is said that it's the union which actually walked away from the negotiating table.
Oh, okay.
And the union has not denied this. So that tells me that the talks broke down and the union got to the point where they didn't think the talks were going anywhere. They got up, they left the negotiating table. Whether or not that was the right thing to do, we don't know. We weren't there. But whatever triggered this action was not something in isolation. Things were happening in the background. And it finally got here.
All right.
And now that we're here, I believe good sense should prevail. We need to see some maturity in the leadership of the country. That is what we need to see. You can't go around threatening people regardless who doesn't mean that is what you have to do.
Yeah.
Sticking badly.
And that for me has been that's a sticking point.
Yeah, Bev, you kind of like really gone bad.
Yeah. Can you hear us, Bev? Ooh, she's
I'm
speaking.
hearing you all loud and clear.
Yeah, but you went, yeah, we're losing you.
Yeah.
You must be in Grenada,
Yes,
Bev.
my yes, who is the provider again?
I told you, the gremlins, they're coming to get you.
Yeah, man.
They're choking you out. They're choking your lifeblood out. The life of your internet is being choked out.
Have you noticed how frozen she's been for the past little while?
I know.
Call
It's not
l'aqua.
moving.
Yeah, you're totally frozen.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, we're laughing. It's good that we could laugh at this, eh? But
Oh,
it's not
really?
funny. Anyway,
She's just frozen with that
No,
smile on her
I
face.
just saw.
Okay.
Yeah, she's
she's coming to life again.
Oh gosh, am I unfrozen yet?
No,
Let me
you're
know
not.
when I'm unfrozen.
No, you're
If
not.
you can't hear me. She's hilarious. But
Anyway,
frozen.
during this little lull, let's explain to the people who actually there are people who are still stuck with us tonight despite this. But there are also people who came and left, and I'd like to suggest to them that after the program's over, and let me tell you, tonight is probably going to take at least an hour after the program is over before it finally gets up to Facebook, simply because of the internet speeds that we've been having. But tomorrow or whenever on the weekend, you can go on back and listen and watch, because as always, we are recording it, and it will be up on both Facebook and YouTube. Okay?
Yes,
So once you get through the frustration of having to cope with it tonight, yes, I keep promising, but I hope that by next week we will see some improvement. I was told by an internet provider here that this was not this past Monday, but the Monday before, they had ordered a piece of equipment which they really needed to improve my service, and that equipment was going to take 2 weeks to get here, and that 2 weeks will end on Monday. So let's hope. I see Margaret smiling. She's smiling, but she ain't holding her breath. I'm sorry, Margaret.
What can I say?
Yeah? Yeah, I
not,
know.
am I unfrozen yet?
No,
I
you're
can't
still
tell.
frozen.
Oh
As Bev was
my,
making, in addition to, as Bev was making a point saying that, it's time for the government to drop the childish approach and take a more mature approach to dealing with the situation. But I think this government, you see, we are not on the hot seat. These people know what they've been through. They know what they've been through. The union know what they've been through, and they're sticking to their point, and you have to commend them for that. You understand? And the government, they know that they take this out, these people in Grenada for granted. They look at you as stupid because, you always vote for them. You lie to them. They always believe you. That's fine. They just look the way the perception and the attitude towards the people in Grenada. They have no respect for these people in Grenada. That's why they can play you like this. But it's good for these people. They know what they've been through. They don't stand their grounds to get what they want. So that's what's going to happen.
And Catherine, I hope what we're seeing is a good sign. Like I said earlier on, this doesn't just have to do with the issue about gratuity and pensions. Grenadians have been frustrated and abused over recent years. Mm-hmm. And that it's all building up. It all adds up. And then it comes to a breaking point. Mm-hmm. And, I'm afraid that breaking point is edging closer and closer and closer. And you saw the first indication of it, well, a couple of years ago with the first referendum. Grenadians said, stuff it. And then we had a second referendum. And Grenadians said, stuff it again. And now you have the unions having their crack at it. Who knows what's next? But it has to end somewhere. Mm-hmm. And it's not going to end until the people who were duly elected by the man on the street start showing a little respect for them and a lot of accountability. Can you imagine asking, well, what is my debt? And essentially you tell me None of your business. I mean, come on. Come on. And that's just one example, Catherine. Just one example. And so Grenadians are frustrated. I'm not saying the unions are 100% right. I'm not. But I'm saying I understand their frustration damn well.
Don't understand this.
Yeah.
They've been through.
Yeah.
They know what they've been through. So.
Yeah. I know what I've been through. And the whole country does.
And you're still going through it.
And I'm still going through it. But you know what? I'm going to come out of this with a great big smile on my face. And my God sees and knows everything that they're doing. Old people have I keep saying this, boy, I can't tell you how many times I've said this on the air in the past year. Old people have a saying, what ain't meet you, ain't pass you.
True.
You know that, Max?
Yep. Only too well.
Only too well, yeah. So, things do have a way of catching up with you. Anyway. Well, girls, I can't believe it. I'm honored tonight. Just moi and Tree Woman. Woo! Tree Woman. I am so honored.
You just noticed?
I only just noticed.
We noticed ages ago.
So, Mr. George, Mr. George is very generous. I mean, allowing you guys to come and sit here with me tonight. That's just incredible.
George going as well.
Pardon me?
Your audio.
Yeah, it
beginning to sound like that.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I think the gremlins are coming across there too.
Yeah. Max, did you notice that yesterday we had a really brilliant Good Day Grenada stream?
When? Yesterday?
I think it was yesterday. Yes.
Yesterday it was good. Today it was iffy.
Yeah.
Yesterday it was pretty decent.
Yeah. I mean, I almost fainted.
Yeah. But you had Alan on this morning.
Yeah.
So the gremlins come for Alan too.
Oh, Alan.
They sure did. I told you, those gremlins know who they're looking for.
Yeah, man. You know, it's so interesting that at certain points,
It's
certain
very
parts.
unfortunate though, because in this internet age, we can't have a decent broadcast because of poor internet. And we have nobody to complain to.
That may be a problem, true, but one can also interfere with a person's internet access as well.
It's called throttling.
Yes.
You know about
It
that,
is.
Bev?
Yes. Oh, yes, I do know.
Yeah.
And you just need someone to touch the right at the right time for these things to happen. I know. You see, that's the downside of the internet. You don't control over what you're doing. It doesn't matter what you tell you. You are at the mercy of someone else.
Yeah.
Yep.
And generally, it's usually someone evil, because they do things to hurt you. They do things to hurt you. But they say nothing goes past God. Anyway, ladies, I see we have 5 minutes left. And I miss Jerry tonight, you know. I miss Jerry tonight. He's always so off the cuff, you know.
Yeah, I know, right? No, you just figured that you needed company. That's what it is.
Yeah. In this day and age, you know, being a single guy in the company of three women, you got to be careful. You really have to be careful.
Come on, Joe.
You know. So I try to seek protection
But you should
wherever
be
I
happy.
can.
You should be reveling in that, right, Bev?
Yes.
But my heart is going thumpity, 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 thump. Leave me alone. Don't touch me.
I don't know what is he complaining about. Talking about you, Miss Jerry. I didn't even notice Jerry was not here.
Yeah, apparently we're getting used to not being here. So
exactly.
That's okay. We got dock his pay.
Yes. We're gonna dock his pay, definitely.
I think somebody better email that
That's
information.
2
to
weeks.
Yeah, that's 2 weeks of pay. That's more than 2 days for sure.
And since he's the highest paid on this program,
Bev, she's still frozen with a smile on her face. Oh, she's unfrozen now. Here she goes.
Beverly?
Oh, great. I'm not frozen anymore.
Yes, you are.
Yes.
Again.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, Beverly. I'll tell you what, rather than prolong the ordeal, why don't we just say goodnight? We got 3 minutes to go.
I think we should.
Yeah.
Thank all the listeners and viewers who stayed with us, those who stopped by and didn't stay, those who stopped by and couldn't stay. We appreciate you all. We appreciate your feedback. We appreciate your input. Keep conversing with us. And we look forward to the next edition of Mek We Chat. We're gonna all have to find a way to be in studio or else.
Yes.
Or else.
Or else, yeah.
Have a great night, folks. Yes.